so we can make sure that we have access to it for later. So thank you all for joining us today, and want to go over part 2 of the how to prepare your book proposal. I want to thank Cindy Carelli and Aaron Harris for being here with us today to ask any questions. And I am so, again, thank you. So thankful for you all to be here today. So let's just jump right in. If you were here for the first part of the series, or the presentation webinars, excuse me, then you saw where I went through all of the details associated with CRC Press, as well as details on how to prepare the first part of the proposal. And it's so much information, I just didn't want to overwhelm everyone. So that's why I decided to go with the second part 2. And can you all see I'm about to share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen, okay? Can you see that?
Yes.
You can see, okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. So let's just roll. So again, want to just make sure that everyone understands this, and if someone is watching this on a recording, feel free to email me if you have questions or there's anything that you need a little more explanation on. Today, I expect for us this to be a little shorter than our last webinar. We should finish in about 25 minutes or so, and then I'll take any questions. So again, part 2, and if you remember, this is a book series that's women in STEM, innovation, looking for all kind of exciting topics about research, about leadership, innovation, management. So please feel free to submit those proposals to us. And so one of the things, wanted to jump right into this. So some of the reminders, if you recall, in the first part of the proposal, which we covered in the first webinar, we talked about how to list the information about your book and who your audience would be and so forth. Well, in this part of the webinar, we're going to be talking more about things such as permissions and the index and all of those little things that we often don't think about when we're working on a book proposal. But again, as I've mentioned before, CRC Press is so wonderful to publish with, and so you get a lot of guidance along the way. But permissions are really important. It's your responsibility as the author to secure these permissions if you're using information from someone else. And so make sure you give yourself time to secure those permissions and include those. And of course, your index is to be prepared and submitted by the author, or I'll let Cindy weigh in on that. I don't recall preparing my index. Cindy, did I prepare my index?
No, back then
Okay.
we had a staff that did it, but because we want to, cut on costs so we don't have to raise the prices of the books, we have the authors do it now, and we have a step-by-step guide that we'll provide.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, beautiful. So now that is good information for me to know. So we will share that step-by-step guide when it's time for you to get that proposal submitted. And then of course, also responsibility of the author to include alt text in your manuscript. Can you share what an example of alt text could be, Cindy or Aaron?
Well, alt text is a contextual description of all images that are included in the book. Our recent initiative is to comply with the Americas with Disability Act. So that makes it accessible to all readers. And come 2025 in the UK, you won't be able to sell a book without alt text in it. So we're trying to get a head start on this and have authors provide it. And the authors are really the best people to provide it because they know what they're trying to get across with including, images and such.
Absolutely.
And we have a guide for that too. So it's easy.
Fantastic. Excellent. Thanks so much, Cindy. Okay. And then some other questions may include approximately how many manuscript typewritten double space pages would you expect your manuscript to contain, and what do you expect to deliver or on what date do you expect to deliver your complete and final manuscript? One of the ways that I estimated my number of pages is I looked at books that were my competition. So looking at books that were similar to mine and how many double space typewritten pages they had, that really helped me a lot. And then of course, when it came down to delivery date, I tried very hard to be realistic with my schedule. And that's difficult sometimes because we're busy and things come up. But really do your best to estimate this without giving yourself a heart attack, because mostly all authors are doing more than just writing books. So make sure that you account for the other things that you have to do. And we want this to be an enjoyable experience for you, writing your book, and you'll be able to look back on that fondly. Okay, so Microsoft Word, yay, we love Word, is the only acceptable format for text. So I guess there are probably some people on this call who don't even remember what Word Perfect was, but there used to be a number of other software tools that we use to write manuscripts, but Microsoft Word is now the only acceptable format for the text. And of course, you would use the equation editor if you have that, if you have equations in your document. Okay, and so this is just a snapshot from the proposal form, and Cindy provided a new proposal form for us that's on the website. So want to make sure that you know that's there and available. And please do, again, even if you're just thinking about it, if you're just in the thinking stages, please take a look at the proposal, go ahead and download it, send us any questions you have. But again, this is just an example of the kind of information that you'll be able to get from the proposal. When we talk about artwork, these are some of the guidelines in terms of artwork, and these can be provided as a PDF or in these other formats that are listed. So we've worked very hard to provide you with all the information you need. So any questions you have will be addressed as you prepare your book proposal and as you prepare your document. Yes, Annette. Oh, do I have to unmute you? Okay.
No, I was able to do it. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, I'm sorry. I wanted to ask a question going back to the format that things are allowed to be submitted in. I think it's funny that you used WordPerfect as your example, because we've all progressed so much further than that. But the reason I wanted to mention it was in case people are using a Mac or using a tablet. Like Macs have something called Pages, which is supposed to be the equivalent to Word. So I just wanted you to elaborate on that. So people are very specific. It must be Microsoft Word, not any of those other options that are out there.
That's correct. It must be Microsoft Word. Okay. So just convert your little information from your tablet over to a nice Microsoft Word document. Okay. Got it. Thank you for that question, Annette. Okay. And so after referring some other questions, so after referring to the table on the last slide, you need to think about what program you're going to be using to prepare your artwork list. And then of course, you're going to want to list the total number of figures. And these are estimates, you know, try to get as accurate as possible, but don't lose sleep over it. But the total number of figures, photos, you know, the kind of line drawings or tables. And for, you know, for example, with mine, in my chapters, I just thought about the subject matter and which subject matter would benefit more from tables or photos, and then did those estimates. And if you find that that changes a lot, then just communicate with us and we'll make those updates. Okay, so color figures or any color inside of a book adds extra production to the cost. Now I know where everybody likes coloring live, but go with black and white. I do encourage you to do that. And that also, if you have a photo that is a color photo and it needs to be converted to black and white, make sure that it still carries the same message, or it's able to deliver the information you wanted it to, with it being black and white versus color. So just make sure you take a look at those things. And again, give us a call if you have any question. And then what form of...
I just wanted to pipe in. I'm sorry. I just wanted to pipe in
please.
About the color. We can put color in the ebook. We can't put it in the print book, but in the ebook we can. So I just want to let you know that.
That's wonderful to know. That is wonderful to know. So the ebook, go for your ebooks. Then what form of measurements do you want to use? I use SI units for my ergonomics textbook. And the reason for that is because I knew, well, I had hoped that it would be used internationally, and it has been. In fact, I think it sells more internationally right now than it does even in the US. So there are US customer units, but again, I would encourage that. I would think that most authors probably would. Is that true, Cindy and Aaron, that most authors use SI units?
We encourage authors to do both if they can.
Okay, okay,
Oh, yeah.
good, good, good. And then describe electronic materials to accompany your book. Or, I mean, and you remember I shared with you last time, I mean, people are busy. So if you have a book that could be a seminar or be used for a course, it is so convenient for someone who wants to use your book to be able to have the slides associated with it. Also, if there's class exercises or discussion topics that you have, please do make sure that you make all of those electronic materials available, because it makes your book a lot more attractive. I think I shared with you all last time that with my ergonomics textbook, I actually did the notes. In addition to the notes, I had a instructor's manual. And of course, this was a lab course, so I made a template for the lab manual and even a sample course syllabus. So it truly was just an off-the-shelf package that you could take the book, and if you've never even taught an ergonomics course, and teach it. And I did the same thing for my my other book. I actually provided the slides for my engineering leadership book. So if you're going to teach that course, I provided slides and also additional course material. So that makes it a lot more convenient for folks who want to use your book. And then of course your keywords, and use 6 to 12 keywords that describe your book, and make sure that these are terms that are relevant to your field right now, so that when folks start to look, your book will be something that would come up. Now, if you're doing an edited book, which is a book where you have multiple chapters written by different contributors, you will have to use a plagiarism check software once the contributors see their chapters, to make sure that everything is good. And so the program that you want to use, I think I use Turnitin. So I'm not sure what other programs folks are using, but you will need to make sure you use a plagiarism software to evaluate those chapters. And Cindy and Aaron, feel free to jump in anytime.
Will do.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now this is a biggie. People have been asking me, so how do I classify my book? And I've been getting some emails from folks and said, well, I may not be very technical. And so how would I classify a book if I want to try to submit it to this series? And so this kind of table is very helpful when it helps us figure out the type of classification. So if you I think we talked a lot about textbooks, but we talked about professional books that professionals or practitioners would use. Sometimes students use these as well, or handbooks. So this table helps you classify your book. But as pointed out here, and Cindy will attest to, and Aaron, their editorial board has a final say as to what type of book it is and what market that you will be targeting once you get your book submitted and complete and published.
Correct. Yeah, it just gives us a good idea, because we could think that it's a professional book and you may think that it's a supplementary book. So just check off how you feel the book fits, and then we'll have the final review on it.
Wonderful. Great. And they're usually right. Now, I shouldn't say usually. They've been great in terms of my book. Of course, it's pretty easy to classify ergonomics, but if you have other areas, just don't let that be a worry for you. We'll help you through that. And then break down the readership or the disciplines by primary market, secondary market, tertiary market. This is so funny to talk about this. Obviously, with my ergonomics book, that was academic, and then of course some practitioners. And it actually ended up in the hands of engineers at Toyota. And then also another tertiary market, I would say, is medical schools. I've had people from medical schools call me who were teaching an occupational ergonomics course and said they wanted to use my book. So I was obviously very flattered. But that's certainly, that's not a market. Yeah.
In psychology, they use your book too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I didn't even know. So all of those kind of markets are out there for your book. So it's exciting once you get your work published, just to see how it can be utilized in so many different markets that you may have never even thought of. So break down the readership in the following ways, and we don't have to get into all of this, but looking at the university environments with STEM departments, and I think this is from my engineering leadership book, this example. So undergraduate programs in STEM, community colleges, technical schools, honor programs for undergraduate students, engineering education. So this is sort of just an example of how you might look at that as you're preparing this information as it relates to your market for your book.
And if you don't know exactly what your market is, I mean, I can figure it out. So don't let that, stop you. It's not
exactly
that hard. I mean, we can figure it out.
Wonderful, wonderful. So evidence-based, we like to see that there's clear evidence that the topic you're writing about or that your book is discussing is going to be relevant, and that there's a clear need for it in the marketplace. So as you write your proposal, you can make comments to that effect to demonstrate where there is an opportunity for this kind of book to be beneficial, who it's going to be beneficial to, and then you can also list something that your book would be of interest to for the international sales reps. So make sure that you're actually doing a lot to help promote your book and get the word out about it. And CRC does marketing campaigns and with social media outlets. And so make sure that you provide all of your social media handles and usernames so that they can make sure to connect you to this material. And so you can share it on your platforms. And then of course, professional societies. I list so many professional societies, and that's really valuable to do. And then of course, any key journals or magazines in the area can be very helpful as well. Okay, and then if you know of any other CRC Press or Taylor and Francis books that your book would team up well with, they're asking you to list that there. And I think that's really cool, a really cool idea, because then if folks have bought those books, and then it's a good chance they may be interested in yours, or maybe that I've seen Cindy at the conferences where she'll have multiple books up together. And so if you can talk about how your book is related to others, that can be beneficial to you as well. So make sure you take some time to take a look at titles that are being published by CRC Press and Taylor and Francis that may be related to yours. So, rather than just seeing them as competition, and also these are, again, how they can team up. An example of that would be my ergonomics book would team well with biomechanics books that are published by CRC Press, because many times if you're studying human engineering, you're almost always going to take an ergonomics course and a biomechanics course, a work physiology course as well, even though those aren't quite as popular anymore. So that, again, just lists those that might go well in a pairing with yours or packaging them together. And then the competition. Nobody wants to talk about the competition, but we have to, because there is competition. People say there's never been a book written like mine. That's probably not true, okay? but you still need to talk about the competition. So talk about the competition, and then why we need another book in the field, why your book is going to add some value. And then of course, list in order of importance, any domestic and international books which compete directly with or which are similar to your book. So, and again, keep in mind that it's important to list this information, and this actually can help you. For me, it always helped me understand what I wanted to write about better when I really thought about the competition and what they were writing in their books. And so I looked at the commonalities. Clearly, there are going to be some commonalities. And then I was very clear about the differences, but this also helped me, this exercise also helped me to come up with additional differences that I wanted to make sure I included in my book. And then, by God, tell us what makes your book better and what makes it different, and it's going to make it stand out from the competition. What elements of your differences will do that? So, and if you have any questions, again, I keep saying this, we're happy to answer them. So please do ask. And now people have asked about the review process. So CRC has a very broad network of reviewers that they work with to get book proposals reviewed. Now, reviewers are usually really busy. And I know oftentimes I'm asked to review a book and I feel so bad when I don't have time, or if it takes me too long to get it back. So the process generally takes about 4 to 6 weeks, but it could take longer. One of the things I strongly encourage is to suggest reviewers. If there are people in the field who you know would understand your work and be able to give an opinion on your book, please recommend them. And this is the information you would need to provide: their name, their affiliation, and all of their contact information. And what I also do is I give people a heads up, or I'll email them and say, do you mind if I list you as a reviewer? And 9 times out of 10, they'll say yes. And then you list them. And then of course that tends to help the review process go faster. Any comments on that, Cindy or Erin?
I just want to add in that the review process, it also helps the author, because the comments that we get back, we're going to share with you. And the reviewer may suggest something. They may help you think more in another direction that you might not have thought about before. So it's really a process that helps us, but also helps you as well.
Awesome.
And I just wanted to add really quick that reviews are anonymous. So when you get your reviews back, you won't know who actually reviewed your book, but you'll be able to see the comments.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, and then once a form is complete, okay, send it in to us. We are eagerly waiting for it. And I meant to show, I wonder where that slide went. Excuse me, that was supposed to be before sending it in. Back to timing, the review process. So we covered all of this. Provide contact information for manuscript reviewers. And again, the process can take 4 to 6 weeks. And then once reviews are assessed, you get a decision, but we could be in communication. And so don't be afraid to contact us. Don't be afraid to contact us. So stay in touch. I said in the first webinar that we're building relationships. And so you want, if I hadn't built a relationship with Cindy, I probably wouldn't have published my second book with CRC Press. I probably wouldn't have this book series. And so, it's exciting to be able to do that, build these kinds of relationships where you really can get your work out and disseminate the things that you're doing. So commit to submitting your book proposal. And I say this, it's always easier for me to get something done when I have an accountability partner. So I would encourage you to work with a friend or colleague to be your accountability partners. Give yourself 6 months or 3 months, however long you need. I'm going to submit my book proposal, and then start working on it and communicate with us if you have any questions or you get stuck anywhere in the process. And we're more than happy to help. I've listed all of our email addresses here. And we are truly looking forward to receiving your book proposal. And thank you so much for joining us today. Any questions? Let's connect. Any questions? I told you we were going to be fast today. We covered a lot last time. Well, I guess I wasn't that fast. Well, let me know if there's anything else that I can do to support you as you are working on your book proposal. And we got some questions, and I think I have questions. Stop sharing. All righty. Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
I came on to say that they weren't questions, they were just comments, and thank you for you.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And Celicia says she's technically in 2 meetings, but didn't want to miss this one. Thank you so much, Celicia. I've done that. It's a crazy Zoom world. I've actually had 2 laptops going before in order to do that. Well, thank you again. And if you want to refer back to this, Alex will put this on the website. And so you can share it with your colleagues, and we will be working on seeing you in print. And I want to thank Cindy and Erin so much for your time and joining us today.
No problem.
Thanks for having us.
If anybody has any questions, they can email us directly as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies. Okay, well, if there are no questions, then I will give you back the rest of your afternoon and look forward to hearing from you. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.